Hi, welcome. If you landed here because you're struggling with fatigue, weight issues, insomnia, anxiety, depression, women, if you're struggling with irregular menstrual cycles or really painful cramping or really bad PMS or horrendous menopausal symptoms, men, this talk is for you too. If you're struggling with poor muscle tone, maybe low motivation and drive, maybe excessive emotional responses that aren't normal for you, then you've landed on the right spot. And today we're going to dive into one of the functional tests that we run very commonly to help us identify and fix the root issue in order to restore long-term optimal health.
Okay, let's share a screen with you, and you're going to take a look at our hormone panel.
All right,
Here we go.
so what we're looking at here is what we refer to as a salivary hormone test. This looks at the most important steroid hormones, also collectively referred to as the stress and sex hormones. These include cortisol, which is our primary stress hormone, and then estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and some of their precursors. One of the benefits to running a salivary test as opposed to a blood test, particularly when we're looking at cortisol, is because one of the most important values of cortisol is looking at its pattern throughout the day.
I'm going to show you that.
Yep.
Right here.
So cortisol, and we'll get into the glaring abnormality that we see here, but cortisol does a couple of things for us. One, it sets our circadian rhythm. So every cell in our body, every single cell, our entire body responds to the day-night cycle, right? The diurnal cycle. Cortisol is supposed to be highest in the morning in order to wake us up with the sun, and lowest at night in order to help us go to sleep when the sun goes down, okay? So that's how it helps set our circadian rhythm. Just to plant a seed, this can become imbalanced. We see this a lot in shift workers, for example. Nurses, police that have to work the night shift will start to see the circadian rhythm become imbalanced. And it's not just like, uh-oh, cortisol's off. It means the rest of our body's not responding to that circadian clock. It paves the way for a lot of issues. So nonetheless, cortisol, highest in the morning, lowest at night. In addition, cortisol is our primary stress hormone. So what I mean by that is that there's actually 3 different categories of stress. And the body, hormonally speaking, has one stress response mechanism. So the 3 different categories, most people when I say stress, they're thinking of emotional stress. And that absolutely applies. So day in, day out stressors like traffic and deadlines and juggling work in a family, up to, pretty significant stressors like a divorce, the loss of a loved one, financial issues. Those are some examples of emotional stress. The second category is physical stress. So physical stress, you break a bone, sprain your ankle, traumatic brain injury is a very significant example of physical stress. And then the third category is chemical stress. So chemical stress, now we start to get into things like food sensitivities, toxicity, hormone imbalance, like we'll see here, an imbalance of the gut microbiome in our intestines. These are some examples of chemical stress. So I mentioned 3 different categories, one stress response mechanism.
Which I think with the physical stress too is important. It doesn't have to be an injury. It can be those individuals who are racing marathons, Ironmans, right?
Yes.
Chronic exercisers.
Yes.
We're going to see that, like, you're just physically moving your body. We see a lot of disruption with this test with athletes.
Absolutely. Yes. Overtraining is a very real thing.
It's so real. Hi.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
We've been there.
We've been there. But we have been here on this test, and we're going to share our personal experience with it as well.
Yeah.
So one stress response is what we have,
right?
But we have multiple external or internal stressors.
Exactly. So what that